A senior American official says talks with Iran on securing a nuclear deal will almost certainly continue beyond tomorrow's deadline. Iran's foreign minister is preparing to head home for consultations before returning later to push for a breakthrough. National Security Analyst Arash Aramesh joins me now from Los Angeles. Thanks for joining me. Now, what's the big stumbling block in negotiations?
Well, the big issue here is trust but verified. The issue here is that Iranians don't want to allow unlimited access to a number of sites, military sites, research facilities, and also they don't want their scientists to be interviewed at any moment, anywhere by IAEA, that's the International Atomic Energy Agency, or representatives from the P5+1. That's one issue. The second issue is how these sanctions are going to be removed. A couple days ago, the Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei gave a pretty harsh speech in which he reasserted that he is not going to accept a deal that would require Iran to act first and then sanctions will be removed later. He said, if Iran is going to act, sanctions have to be lifted immediately. Well, if they want to verify things later, that's fine. How is that going to affect the process? Well, June 30th is the actual deadline. Let's not forget that U.S. Congress wants to also take a look at this. And they go into August recess less than a month away. So if we pass a July 9th, July 8th deadline, this might take a good couple of months. So it's important to get this to Congress as soon as possible. On the other hand, it's also important to be realistic. If an agreement is reached right now, immediately, what will happen is probably that UN sanctions will be lifted. But let's not forget, a lot of the more potent sanctions are administration sanctions, and especially US Congress sanctions, and those will take some time to be lifted.
Remind us, Arash, what exactly are they hoping to achieve?
Well, they are working out the technical details. They're hashing out what's really difficult, and that is how many centrifuges the country gets to keep, how many sites did they get to remain open, how many scientists and whom is going to be interviewed, and how often, how frequently, and with what sort of notices can the international community, that's the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, can pay visits to Iran. So the two sides are trying to hash out the details, the technicalities of the issue. 8 months ago in November in Lausanne, Switzerland, they came out and they came up with a political framework. Well, that was good, but not good enough. We knew that the details were going to be pretty hard, and now they're hashing out those details. But what the U.S. and her allies want is to make sure that Iran's path towards nuclear weaponization is blocked, not just today, but permanently. On the other hand, the Iranians want to make sure that, A, their nuclear industry is not completely shut down, and they would also save some face, because Iran, especially this government, the Islamic Republic of Iran, this administration, especially the administration before that, and the hardliners, have invested plenty of political capital on the Iranian nuclear program.
And realistically, do you think that they're going to come to any agreement?
I think that both sides, the Iranian government, the moderate government of Hassan Rouhani, and the administration of President Barack Obama have a lot to lose if they do not gain an agreement or agree on a framework. The hardliners in both countries may in fact gain from failing to reach an agreement. But let's not forget that a bad deal is much worse than having no deal. So I think they realize that getting a bad deal is actually not a good outcome. President Obama has actually had a few good victories this week. He got his gay marriage ruling in the Supreme Court. He got Fair Housing Act in the Supreme Court. And he also got his Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, again, through the Supreme Court. It's been a historic week. That's his domestic legacy. If he manages to get a good, enforceable, verifiable deal with Iran, he's going to seal a good Obama legacy in foreign policy as well.
Well, we're going to have to leave it there. Arash Aramesh from Los Angeles there. Thank you very much for joining us.